I've managed to get over 20 hours of Illuvium PvP in just over 3 days during the early access period of the game, and now I have a comprehensive review of everything I think about the game. Firstly, I actually really love this game, and even though I was extremely skeptical about it being addictive, I got addicted. All right, I really love it. I really love climbing the ranks, but more importantly, I actually really like adjusting my teams and improving them over time. And then once you start going on some win streaks, it's actually a pretty unbelievable feeling. But Illuvium is not without its issues. Obviously, we're not going to be talking about the overworld in this video in particular, but on PvP, there are still some issues we need to talk about. First up, you will dig deep into the team builder. The UI for this is actually really solid and a lot better than the Illuvidex has been in the past, so that was a really nice surprise. But navigating it for its purpose can be a little bit clunky. It's hard to find the appropriate pieces to fill in your team, and it's very self-directed. Now, there's nothing necessarily wrong with this, but it will definitely discourage new players who are brand new to the IP, brand new to the Illuvials, the genre and the style of gameplay altogether, and having some helpful nudges for them will go a long way in the future. In this case, you either learn all 1000 cards in the team builder off by heart, or you copy someone else who has, and then build on that. The team builder flow itself, however, is actually quite seamless. Once you save your team, even though visually it isn't necessarily updated straight away in the client, it is actually updated instantly. The minute you hit play, you will have that team activated in the game, which is something I cannot say for many games in this space, but it's very cool to see. After you build your team, it's time to battle and lose and battle again and lose, and probably for about 10 more times. If you had never built a team before and you didn't copy anyone else's, that's what you're going to experience is going to be like. But personally, I didn't get disheartened at all, but rather I got really determined to improve the team, figure out what went wrong, and keep going from there. Now, I don't know if that's going to be for everyone, but from everyone I've talked to, they've all had the exact same experience. I haven't really heard anyone that said, crap, this is too hard, I'm leaving. Everyone just wanted to change up their team and get better, and really a lot of them fell into ranks where they're playing against other players who are inexperienced as well and had a better time as well. So it's going to be a little bit like that your first time playing, but don't get disheartened. It is all a part of the journey. I must admit though, it is really satisfying when your deck actually achieves what it's supposed to do. When you hit off those 3 magma and your team's unkillable and the magma is slowly eating away at Ramfire's health, that is a very satisfying moment in Illuvium PvP. As for the gameplay aspects of the game, the early rounds feel really weird. Spammable cheap decks can be really hard to recover from, and it feels like the meta is a little bit limiting. Really what happens is that everyone in the meta is playing some very 7 rogues on round 2 and whatever it might be, and you need to play 7 Scion or 7 Bulwarks or whatever to be able to counteract that, and that really limits the sort of things you can play in your team. Although being able to build your team in such a way that it scales better than your opponent is also a different way to play as well, and just as good. It's really hard to kind of talk about the meta since it hasn't fully developed, but it definitely seems like the cheap synergies are extremely powerful compared to everything else. The other thing is ranking up in the game feels somewhat slow. Even though the matches are really fast paced, you don't seem to gain that many points, but what I think this is more of a UI issue rather than a game or a gameplay issue. Really, because there's so much little visual given to you for ranking up, elo, and there's no leaderboard implemented into the game yet, it's a little bit hard to get attached to the ranking system in the same way you would in something like League of Legends or even TFT. And once that's fixed, and it will be fixed at some point, I think it's going to feel a lot better in that way. I must admit, the game is very repeatable and very spammable. You can go through a 10-minute game and it will feel like it was 30 seconds. And then before you know it, you've played like 20 games straight. You've won maybe 12 or 13 of them. You had a few really unlucky losses and some where you really should have won and you made a big misplay, but it is all really great. And I think that's where the addictive element comes into it. The pacing is perfect. I don't know how to describe it. I've never played a game with pacing as good as Illuvium PvP, except maybe Civilization 6. If anyone gets the joke, then leave a comment down below. But the other thing is that the nuanced things like the red border when the timer is running out, all the sound effects, the characters talking, and even the emotes you can spam in the game are all really nice and really do add to the gameplay quite nicely. And it's also hard to have repeating games. When you play a game, even if you play against the same player, if you build your team in the ways that I have at least, you can always play slightly differently or slightly better than you did before. There is a lot of strategy and skill depth to Illuvium. It's surprisingly fun and easy to pick up and play for just about anybody, but I know that there are many out there that are going to have trouble because they're saying, oh, I'm not going to get to super high ranks, I don't want to play anymore. But I mean, I was hard stuck silver in League of Legends for a very long time, and I still loved playing the game. And I hope that's how people are going to feel about Illuvium, because that's certainly where I think it's heading. And not only that, but it's extremely watchable. I don't know how to put this, but once you understand the game, once you've played it a few times, it's a lot of fun to watch these battles unfold. And that's coming from someone that really doesn't like esports that much, because I find them a little bit hard to follow and a bit weird since I'm not playing the game myself. But I do think Illuvium is a really fun game to watch, and I can't wait until everyone gives the feedback on it. Please subscribe down below if you want to see more videos like this. If you have differing opinions than anything I mentioned today, please leave a comment down below. Don't forget to subscribe, and I can't wait to see you guys next time.